Welcome to our channel, where the veil between reality and nightmare grows thin and the shadows themselves hold their breath. Tonight we delve into the terrifying phenomenon of the shadow people, those dark, formless figures that haunt the edges of our vision. Turn off the lights, turn up the volume, and prepare to be terrified, because tonight we shine a light into the darkness. Imagine this. You wake in the dead of night, a cold sweat clinging to you like a shroud. Something isn't right. The hair on the back of your neck stands on end, and a prickling sensation crawls across your skin. Your heart pounds in your chest, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of the night. You try to tell yourself it was just a bad dream, but deep down, a primal instinct screams at you to open your eyes. You crack open your eyes, your pupils struggling to adjust to the darkness, every shadow a monster in waiting. And then you see it, at the foot of your bed, a void in the shape of a man. It's as if someone took a pair of scissors to the night itself and cut out a piece of the darkness. It doesn't move, doesn't breathe, but its presence is more suffocating than any hand clasped over your mouth. You try to scream, but terror has stolen your voice, leaving you a prisoner in your own body. You squeeze your eyes shut, praying, pleading, bargaining with any force that might be listening that this is just a trick of the light. You count the seconds, each tick of the clock an eternity, until you can't bear the suspense anymore. You force your eyes open, your breath catching in your throat. It's still there. The shadowy figure stands unwavering, an obsidian statue in the moonlight. You blink, sure that it must be an illusion, a trick of your exhausted mind, but it remains. The watcher, silent, immobile, menacing. You spend the rest of the night paralyzed by fear, your gaze locked on that shadowy silhouette, your mind racing with questions that have no answers. What does it want? Why is it here? Why you? The silence is agonizing, broken only by the frantic thumping of your own heart. Morning arrives like a reprieve, the first rays of sunlight chasing away the shadows, and with them the figure at the foot of your bed. You finally find the strength to move, to breathe, to tell yourself it was all a bad dream. But the memory lingers, a cold, unwelcome guest in the back of your mind. You try to forget, to convince yourself it was just a trick of the light, a figment of your imagination. But you never quite shake the feeling that you are being watched, that somewhere in the unseen corners of your world, that shadowy figure is still lurking, its unseen eyes fixed on you. You begin to see it everywhere. In the periphery of your vision, in the dark corners of your room, a fleeting glimpse in the reflection of a window. Your once peaceful home now feels like a prison, the shadows themselves closing in. Sleep, once a sanctuary, becomes your worst enemy. You dread the coming of night, the deepening shadows that stretch and twist like grasping claws. You lie awake, listening to every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves outside your window, your heart pounding in your ears. The fear becomes a constant companion, a suffocating weight on your chest. You jump at shadows, flinch at sudden noises. The world, once vibrant and alive, now feels muted, shrouded in a perpetual twilight. You are a prisoner in your own home, your own mind, haunted by the memory of the watcher and the chilling certainty that it will be back. You know what you saw. You know what's out there, lurking just beyond the reach of the light. The boundary between wakefulness and sleep has always been a strange and nebulous place. It's in this hazy realm where logic surrenders to the absurd that the whisperer makes its presence known. You're drifting off to sleep, the day's anxieties slowly fading into the background, when you hear it for the first time. A whisper, soft as a breath against your ear, yet chillingly distinct in the silence of your room. It seems to come from within your own mind, a violation of your most private thoughts. You sit up in bed, heart pounding, straining to hear over the sudden rush of blood in your ears. Silence. You tell yourself it was just your imagination, a trick of the mind as it dances between consciousness and slumber. You lie back down, pulling the covers up to your chin, trying to recapture the fading remnants of sleep. Just as you start to relax, it comes again. The whisper. Closer this time, more insistent. You can't make out the words, but the tone is unmistakable. It's a voice dripping with malice, a voice that promises pain and whispers of unimaginable horrors. It's a voice that seems to know your deepest fears, your darkest secrets. Terror, cold and paralyzing, grips you in its icy claws. You want to scream, to run, but your body refuses to obey. You're trapped, a prisoner in your own bed, at the mercy of whatever entity lurks in the shadows of your room. Nights become an agonizing ordeal. You find yourself dreading the moment your head hits the pillow, knowing that the whisperer awaits its chance to torment you once more. Sleep, once a refuge from the day's worries, is now a terrifying prospect, a descent into a personal nightmare. The whispers grow stronger, more insistent with each passing night. You start to make out fragments of words, phrases that make your blood run cold. Threats veiled and whispered, promises of suffering delivered in hushed tones. The voice burrows into your mind, planting seeds of fear and doubt. Your life begins to unravel. You're plagued by nightmares, haunted by the whispers even during your waking hour. The line between reality and nightmare blurs, leaving you questioning your own sanity. Is the voice real, or are you losing your mind? You become withdrawn, isolating yourself from friends and family. How do you explain the unexplainable? How do you describe the terror of being stalked by a voice that only you can hear? You're trapped in a prison of your own fear, the walls closing in with every whispered word. The whisperer becomes your constant companion, a malevolent presence that haunts your every waking moment. You try to fight it, to block out the whispers, but it's no use. The voice is always there, lurking just beneath the surface of your thoughts, waiting for you to let your guard down. You're alone, trapped with your tormentor, and the only escape is madness. Chapter 3. The Lurker. This isn't the story of a monster that announces its presence with a guttural growl or a blood-curdling scream. This is the story of the Lurker, the entity that exists in the periphery of your vision, a fleeting shadow that dances just beyond the reach of the light. You'll feel it before you see it, a prickling sensation on the back of your neck, the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. You'll turn, just a little too slow, and catch a glimpse of movement in the corner of your eye. A flicker of darkness against the wall, a distortion of the air where there should be none. You'll tell yourself it's just your imagination, a trick of the light, but deep down, a primal instinct will whisper a different truth. Something isn't right. You'll try to ignore it, to focus on your book, your work, anything to distract yourself from the growing unease that has taken root in your gut. But the feeling of being watched will persist, a constant, unsettling presence that clings to you like a shroud. You'll start to notice it more and more often. A fleeting shadow darting behind a doorway, a dark shape disappearing around a corner just as you enter a room. You'll catch glimpses of movement in the reflection of windows and mirrors, only to spin around and find nothing there. Your home, once a sanctuary, will begin to feel like a labyrinth of shadows, each one potentially concealing the lurker. You'll find yourself avoiding dark corners, keeping your back to the wall, constantly scanning your surroundings for any sign of movement. The lurker thrives on this fear, feeding on your growing paranoia like a parasite. It knows you've seen it, knows that you're aware of its presence, and it takes a perverse pleasure in your growing terror. Sleep offers no escape. You'll lie awake in bed, your eyes wide open, staring into the darkness, listening for the slightest sound, the slightest movement. And just when you're about to drift off, you'll feel it again, that cold, watchful presence lurking just beyond the reach of your vision. You'll try to convince yourself it's all in your head, that the lurker is nothing more than a product of your own overactive imagination. But the truth is, you know better. You've seen it, felt its presence, and you know that it's only a matter of time before it reveals itself fully. The lurker has won. It has claimed you, body and soul, and there's nowhere left to run. The shadows have retreated, the stories have been told, but the fear lingers. Do you feel it too? That prickling sensation on the back of your neck, the feeling of being watched? Look closer at the shadows in your own room tonight. If you enjoyed these terrifying tales, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-chilling stories.